Hi.
Hi.
Sorry,
Okay.
I actually did not realize I had to um yeah, anyway, restart everything. So I'm here.
Okay, great. So let's get started. Welcome back, Fanny. I'm sure you all know already Fanny. She is one of our mentor, and she's been with us since I think the first cohort. Am I right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and yeah, she's a notorious art advisor for creators and collector within the crypto system ecosystem, and today she will lead us into the dynamic world of NFT markets. So I leave you the floor, Fanny, and thank you so much for being here again.
No, thanks for having me. It's great to see new and known names in the audience. So let me know if you can hear me. Okay, I decided on the not headset because but if there's too much echo, just let me know. All right. So let me share my screen. First thing first. Seriously, guys, open system preference. Apologize for that. 1 second. Um, mm, Let me give me one tiny minute. I wanted to ask you actually, like, did you actually what presentation did you had already?
Presentation as PowerPoint or something like that.
Well, from other mentors, like, did you already have yeah, just wondering if you had any other mentor.
Okay, yeah, we had the class with the Artnon, so a little bit of context about crypto art history. So you're the second class, yeah, that we
Okay,
are having.
cool. Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering. All right, so let me see. Can you see my screen or not yet?
No,
Not yet.
I don't know if you guys can see anything.
No, let me see because it doesn't want to let me here. Ah. All right, I'm gonna have to just drop and rejoin if it doesn't work, but just for like 1 second. Okay, let's see if it works. Doesn't work yet. Okay, let me close my and then come back. We'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Let's see. Hi, am I back?
Hello.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Now it should work. Why doesn't it work? All right, if it really doesn't work, I had to like use the browser app, and now it just doesn't want to let me share my screen, which is really annoying. And okay, so give me 2 more minutes. I'm gonna use my laptop. It would be easier. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, and you should see my screen now. Can you?
It works.
Yay! Okay, well,
Yay.
it only took a stupid laptop to do it. Okay, perfect. So, great. Well, I'm very happy to be back. It's always fun to participate to and discover new people from all the different cohorts and yeah, hope you guys are gonna have fun. I mean, it is very intense and you know, like I'm sure VCA has a lot planned for you. But I think it's really what you want to make out of it, right? Like, I mean, it's definitely not just that residency. I think this is, you know, like kind of a boost for something you were already doing and that you continue doing after. I know there've been like a few people from the previous cohorts who've been whom I talked to after the residency and who were like a little bit like, you know, kind of not lost, but like after so much like things that you guys are doing during the residency, afterwards it can feel like a little bit like, huh, so what now, right? Like, I mean, what am I doing? Like, or like, why am I not talking to like so many people on a daily basis? And so I think this is just one advice that you definitely did not ask for, so it's free advice and unsolicited, but really like the relationship you're going to make during that residency is really the most valuable thing you can do. I think this is very you know, sounds very silly and a little blah, but still very true. So just remember to keep making an effort on building this relationship. All right, so let me see, like, because it's like I can't see the stream and the presentation. So let me know, like, unmute yourself if you have something to tell me, because I can't see the different chat and just want to make sure that you guys see the right thing. So are you guys ready? Any questions before? How long do we have? I'm sorry, do we have an hour? Do we have
1 hour and a half?
1 hour and a half. Perfect. Awesome. I'm really trying to get like all these other notifications to like shut up, but they don't. So I know it's a little annoying to get. That's why I had to like uninstall Discord from the other computer, which now I could not log in. So hopefully we can go through the notification and let me. So today we're talking about like how does the market work, right? So it's obviously a giant question and you know multi-billion-dollar question probably if I or anybody knew like that would not be as fun as well as like, and I think this is kind of what we're all trying to figure out. So I'm not saying I have the magic key, just trying to give you a few things to think about while you kind of navigate the whole space. So something to remember is also that like it's a new market. So like literally every time I make a slide or I like say something, well, it's already outdated, right? So so I'll send you the link to the presentation so you have it afterwards. But take everything with a grain of salt because everything literally changes all the time. All right, let me try to put it in slideshow. Like, can you see it in full screen? If I put it in slideshow? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So 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 let's face it, like we're all like a little bit like scared and overwhelmed, and that's okay. I think we all in 2021 have been like nobody probably in the entire space has taken more than 3 days real vacation, and I think this is really because it's a new market, but also because there's a lot of noise happening, and you guys are very much focused on the art applications of NFTs, and but in 2021 most of the activity and really really large noise was around like the speculative like profile picture projects. I don't want to sound bitchy and say that like, oh, like all PFPs are bad. Absolutely not. I just talked this morning to a great founder of the eight Asian project, and they're like a million like hers that like are great projects, but it's a little different application. So I think one thing to put back in perspective is that like, and this is like, I don't have the full data from 2021, but I can tell you, I mean, the official data, but this was like data taken on Ethereum only. So obviously, like if you just look at Tezos, it would be very different, but still it's mimicking and explaining a little bit like the focus of the mainstream media is that collectibles are the main use case of NFTs. I mean, have been in 2021. And we were all hoping that January 1st, all the PFPs will kind of like crash down, so we have more time to focus on the real signals and the real, like the use cases that we are looking into, like on the art side. But it is a reality, right? Like I mean, and I think the collectibles, actually, the number for the entire year 2021 is closer to 80%. Of all NFTs being collectibles, and then like art is actually under 10% now. So so we're not in a case where like people heard about NFTs via Beeple, via an art use case, but the majority of what everybody has seen in 2021 is not art. It was either like very much more collectible. And again, I don't want to enter like where's the line, what's art, what's not art. But it's just a fact that like we're all overwhelmed and a bit tired, and we have this massive expectations that when we drop something, it has to sell out in like 5 seconds, and it has to be 69 million or more, which, well, I'm sure it's not, right? So bummer, but like that doesn't mean that there's not exciting things to do, but let's be realistic, it's going to take a bit more time. So big question: how does the crypto art market work? Well, I mean, the business person in me, like, yes, I went to business schools like 7 lives ago. Like that person would like to say, like, well, like any other market does, there's a supply and the demand, and then like you like do a formula between quantity and price, and then you get like straightforward like market price. So that's great. It still is accurate in theory, but in practice, that doesn't help you really much, I think, and also because we're talking about the art market, right? I mean, art, and I mean, not even the art market. We're just talking about you creating art as the supply. And this magic formula and all the financial formulas, they work very well with very liquid market where we're talking about stocks and currency, et cetera, which you're not creating currency. I mean, you can with social token, but that's a different subject. So I think something that like that would be my like very dry answer. While looking for like a very dry graph, I actually found this one that I found very funny. So I kept it here, but it's kind of the same thing, like, right? It's like you've heard of like supply and demand, and like even googling it like like is not going to solve like your questions on like what type of art should I create, like what format should I use, what platform should I pick, what marketing and pricing and communication strategy should I use. So this is what we're gonna focus on, not like the like I'm sure you can Google for like economic formulas of like price price formation in an ideal market, which you can if you want. I do not recommend. All right, so again, like just a little reminder on like you as the artist, you're on the supply side. So bear with me with my very dry uh, marketing jargon of supply, demand, and blah blah blah. It's on purpose, right? Like I think this something to say. Like we know that we're all in a very special market where all the supply and the creations are unique, but still sometimes it's good to have this like framework in your head. So you as an artist, you have a style already, you have things you've been focusing on. Like I don't know you yet. I mean, I know Anna Maria is like focusing on like she has like a background as a poet, and this is like where you should start, right? And what I'm not gonna do, like I'm not gonna tell you like you should do a PFP, you should do like a series, or you should do this style versus this style, that's crap, that's not like that's good, that's not good. I don't know, like I'm the least qualified person, and nobody is qualified actually to tell you that. Like you're the artist, like you you are the people that like this entire market would not exist without. I think at the end of the day you have to remember that, like you have to pat yourself in the back and say like I trust my instinct, I'm an artist, like this is what I do, I create, like this is your strength, right? So then you still need to know where you stand versus other artists. And like I mean, if you're connected on that call, you probably don't live in a like middle of, I mean, under a rock pretty much. Like you can live anywhere really, but like being aware of like what's around you, that's very very important in terms of context and where you fit within the current ecosystem of crypto art, but also with history. And by history, I mean the history of the crypto art market, which I think this is what you saw with Jason. So that's good, but also like within the entire art history, like I mean, we've keep saying that like, digital art and compute like did not start with NFTs. Nothing literally started with NFTs. So that's my side note on like context. On regarding this slide, it's something that like I actually very badly did myself because I could not find anywhere that like I had seen that on Twitter and I could not find it, so I just reproduced it on the slide. So this is not from me, but I don't know who created it originally, so I can't attribute it. But something that I think is one way to categorize what we've seen so far in art and collectibles in NFTs is that a lot of people and the mass amount of people really go into or enter this market from like a collecting standpoint, more like on the profile picture projects type of thing, because it's sometimes it's like smaller price point. I mean, not always, but really the reason is also that like you don't really have to research or understand much, right? Like when you're looking at a PFP project, like it's like, well, I like hippos or I like crypto dick butts, and that's it. Like you like the one that is pink versus the green one, and it's more rare. Well, great, like let's get it. But then it's like, and what these projects, like just a side note, like what I think you as artists should really be looking at is like the mechanism that these projects really like brought to the market, because that is something that had never been done before. This way of like using traits and attributes and with a limited number of traits and a limited number of end collectibles, a limited amount of a limited series, and then kind of a random minting. This is something that really like I had never seen before. Maybe it existed somewhere else, but was pretty much new to like the art market, and that has been used and like reappropriated as well by other platforms, like more on the generative art side, like FX Hash on more recently on Tezos, and art blocks obviously on Ethereum and async blueprint, etc., etc. So this is something that is like, it's not just like a silly collectible project. It has an artist and an algorithm behind, but it shares the same mechanism. And then like the one-on-one or like very small limited like series of like crypto art is where there's more times that like people need to spend on knowing who the artist is, like the concept behind. There's way more storytelling, and that I know you're gonna see way more of that during the residency, because this is like very similar to what like more like traditional art practices are, but still very important for you to do correctly and right in that market. What is not relevant to our discussion is the contemporary art side, like here, because it's something that like it's just that was also to show that like profile picture collectors actually, when they look more into like generative art and crypto art, then tend to like go become like contemporary art collectors. And so that's pretty much it here. So I think so this is kind of like where you stand and like what you're doing, like what you're thinking of building. Then in terms of style, I mean, you have your own style. I'm gonna pass very fast like on like these like different, like I mean that could be an entire hour and a half, 2 hours like presentation on like people asking, and probably you've had that question before, and like what's the aesthetic of NFTs? And that's a stupid question, because it's kind of like asking you like what's the aesthetic of painting. I mean, it's even more stupid to ask that with NFTs, because it's not just art, right? But kind of like thinking about like your peers, like, are you like, were you doing like software art before? Like, were you a digital artist like before NFT like started, or did you start with NFTs? So are you like really part of this like new crypto art crowd? Like, are you using concepts of the blockchain like to create your art? Are you using generative like GANs and generate like AI concepts to create it? Are you, were you using videos, etc., etc.? Or were you a designer now, like turned like crypto artist? So all of these questions like is like good questions to ask. I think there's like there's no right and wrong answer in terms of uh, like you don't have to decide now like I'm a software artist. It's not my point, but it's good to like find peers and look for like other artists who've been successful at like building their voice and their style and something that I think there is another class on like more like marketing like your art, but like I think this is like very important in terms of building your identity. It's not really a matter of like you only have to be like using like cloud, or you're not like you're the kitten artist. Like no, that's kind of very restrictive. And this is actually what happened with people like who were looking at like Martin. I don't know if you know Martin Lucas Ostashevsky. He's actually using cloud as a visual support for exploring very complex concepts of volatility in like cryptocurrency, in like many different conceptual creations. But he decided that he wanted to use clouds as a visual base because, well, first he likes clouds, but he could have used like lava or like fire or leaves. Like Elena Sarin is using a lot of like vegetal and plants like in her creations. So these are kind of examples where they've been really mindful of like being coherent in their practice. And I know at first it's like it's kind of anti at the opposite of like experimentation and really like trying to find your own style. And so, but like just still be mindful of like what you're putting out there, because people's span of attention is not increasing, unfortunately. Like to say the least. This is not what we've been seeing so far. So that's kind of like building, like what are you building, like is it like kind of like thinking about it in a bit of a flexible box, if you want. Like don't put yourself in a closed box where you're like, I'm only gonna do like cloud-based paint, like, or like cloud visuals, or I'm not only gonna do like, this is not gonna work, right? But thinking about it like and being mindful of like what people perceive of your art that you're putting out to the world is important, because it's you yourself putting yourself out there. Yeah, so I do want to pause here for to drink a sip of coffee, and then, because I don't see you, but I just wanted to ask if if you have any questions so far, and we'll have like probably half an hour to do like questions like at the end of the presentation, like, and but I do want to give you the chance.
Hi, Fanny. This is Claudia here. I just had a question regarding, this is kind of more of like a marketing question versus an artist question, in that developing our own personal style, I realize that that is like a strength when we're thinking about our own brand as an artist, you know, to have work that is recognizably us. And I'm in a period right now where I feel like I'm moving styles a little bit. So originally I was kind of working with just scans of photography, like no edits that would kind of lift that medium, like just from still photography. And now I'm working more with AI and physical cyanotype prints. And so my question that I've kind of been thinking of is like, am I doing myself a disservice and kind of playing with both realms, or do I have to think about kind of sticking to one particular style, especially if let's say the AI work becomes a bit more successful, like the market thinks that that's a bit more successful than the work I've previously been making? I just wanted to kind of hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah, and it's a great question, and I think this is like there's no one like package like right answer, but one thing I would say is absolutely do not restrict yourself to like one thing, because either you think like this is the thing people want, or like because you know, like yes, span of attention is like or consistency. I think this is a like, and you're right, this is maybe more of a marketing question, which I'll cover after after that. But it's really a matter of being genuine and clear about it. And I think this is where you've seen, for example, like, I mean, the good thing is like technology helps us in that sense that even when you mint works, like you have like you can do different collections, right? Like and not mixing everything all together on one page, or like just like really describing what you're doing on your website or even in the description is very important, because at the end of the day, what's gonna matter for your art to mature is really that journey that you're taking from you know, like if you hadn't started with like photography in your case, or like still, and moved on to exploring like generative art side of things, like you would not end up with the same result. And I think this is really where you need to give yourself credit on like on getting your story across in a genuine and truthful way, because this is what people are going to relate to, and this is how they're going to understand you, you know, like this is like where that journey is the interesting side of the puzzle. But I'll cover more. I hope it's like it's not like a more confusing answer, which I tend to give like sometimes. So I hope it's fine. Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Okay, so let's look at now. I kind of wanted to give you like a kind of a little bit of a framework as well on like where that kind of like magic happens before talking about how to market your work to the demand side, like which is the collector side of things, right? But like where you kind of put your story, write your story, and tell your story, and for that, you need to pick your home. Like same way as like I'd rather live in the countryside than in a city, but maybe that's not the same for you. Like, you know, and so I think this is exactly the same thing you need to be thinking about while looking at like the platforms, and like, oh, should I wait for, you know, super rare to accept me, etc., and see what works for you, and you know, and what doesn't. So I'm sure you know already, like this is more like that side is more for people with no idea about Ethereum versus Tezos versus like layer 2 projects, but even picking a blockchain, I think is where you know, some people do care very, very much about like the environmental impact, right? And so so your beliefs and what you stand for as like artists, but also as human beings, need to be reflected in where you choose to mint, because this is also part of your story at the end of the day. That said, like, I'm not saying like this is like wrong to pick like Ethereum. Like, you know, I'm a big like kind of an ETH maximalist myself, but this is something that like you need to be aware of, right? Like, I mean, if you as an artist is like you know, like, are only doing like works about the environment, like, you have to think about picking Ethereum, right? I mean, Ethereum is still very good in terms of like putting your work out to like the biggest audience, right? Like, I mean, this is still where most of the activity happens. So we're not gonna, you know, deny that that is a big pro of Ethereum, but still, like, thinking about it is just, you know, just stopping and thinking about that for like 1 second is good practice. And then, oh my God, there's like a million like marketplace, which like, you know, is kind of wrong if you ask me, because it should not be about where you mint or where you create your work, because that is a heavily centralized way of thinking. And I'm sure you've read, or if you haven't, like, you can check it out. There's like a million articles about how NFTs. How OpenSea is like pretty much re-centralizing like all NFTs on like their platform. It's much more of a Web 2 than a Web 3 like platform, etc., etc. But we're still in need of some sort of like centralization when it comes to put like visibility and getting more like transactions and people to you know, like pretty much find works. I think this is very like still very needed. So right now, you know, there are giant marketplaces. I'm not going to enter into like should there be like or should not. Like, this is a bit more of a longer term discussion. But kind of want to teach with this slide is absolutely not exhaustive. I mean, like, you know, there's like a new marketplace every day that like probably launches. But one thing that is more like the split that kind of want you to keep in mind between, on the left, you have like what I call the permissionless marketplaces, where you can literally, you, my mother, my daughter, like anybody can go and you know, mint an NFT. And some artists, like very established artists like Stella Bell and Kevin DeBosch, like they've actually never left OpenSea. Like, they love this like permissionless approach, and they could not give less of a crap if, you know, like they were accepted on like an invitation only platform. And that's something that I do want you to like leave today with, is that Super Rare, Non-Origin, Async, whatever, Nifty Gateway, they are not curated marketplaces. This is an absolute violation of that term to say they are curated. They are for-profit marketplaces, and they will accept who they think are going to make them the most money. I'm sorry to be as basic as that, but this is still like the reality of the market. Like, because it's you know, they will want the alpha, like the loud ones, the ones that have already like proven themselves, because then it's less work on their end and it's like easier sell, and voila, you know, like, so I love them. They're great. Like, I love the teams at Non-Origin and Super Rare. Like, they've been here from the start, but they're also like not curators. They are builders. They are like now hiring like curatorial experts to pick like the artists who get in. Again, this is very opaque. Like, still now, like who gets in, who doesn't. But who cares, right? Because they're not going to be the one like making your marketing. Even if you get on Super Rare, yes, you can have like pretend to have access to like a bit like higher price point for like, your works, but they're not gonna like do the job for you. So I think this is kind of where this is not curated, invitation only. And then you have like smaller platforms that like almost act as like not as a gallery, but like as a small platforms. And again, I think this is kind of where like I call them specialized because they're not curated yet, right? It's kind of confusing because, for example, Art Blocks is going to say like that they have like Art Blocks curated exhibition, and it's like, okay, they handpick a few artists that are like the most famous ones, and then put them out there for the highest price. Fine. Like Quantum is only for photography. Like Henny is probably just for Damien Hirst by now. Like it's not like NJR, but still they decided they want to specialize in like big white male artists. Fine, decision. So and then so that's kind of like the idea like of like to keep in mind like kind of like that framework on like where if you look at the platform, like where do they stand? Like I think this is like something that actually we've talked to with Brandon Dawes like recently, is that as a successful artist, he gets asked like every single day by new platforms to list his works with this new like I don't know, either a gallery or either a marketplace, like and I have to tell you, like, be very very careful about like trying out new platforms. And I know right now you're like, oh my god, this would be so great, like to like be like listed on like these platforms and have like them want us, but it's not. Like it's a lot of work on the artist. I mean, and before NFT and kind of like the attention on digital art came along, like artists had been burnt like many times with like new marketplaces who asked them to create new works, do the work ahead, and format the work correctly, write about it, do all the work, and then nothing was ever selling. Like, and not gonna name where that happened, but this is still the case right now. So I get a lot like the question like from artists being like, oh, should I wait? Should I apply to Super Rare and just wait like to do my first work when I get accepted? No, like I don't think you should ever do that. Like, don't ever wait for someone to say like, okay, you're good to go for it. No, like why would they have to tell you and direct like when you can or cannot start something? I think that like a lot of people have done, and I don't know, it's something that you need to consider and ask yourself if it's right for you. But a lot of people have started on like the permissionless platforms like Rarible, OpenSea. Maker's Play actually is not anymore like permissionless, I think, but Mintable, Zora is a great one as well. Like starting there and then apply to these like invitation only like platforms, and then like but then still start somewhere where they can experiment and learn by doing. I think this is kind of one thing that you need to be doing to learn really in that field. And then if you get on Super Rare, great, like this is great added value. But so that's pretty much it. And I think this is like on the Tezos side is the same thing. Like, I mean, I just did these two blockchains here, but it's similar. Like you have like Calamint, Object, Hiketnunk, where everybody can mint, and then you have like more of the like specialized one with like like, I mean, one of is obviously music, but Arago is one of the like platform for photographers, FX Hash for generative art. And then Alterhen, to be honest, we can debate. Alterhen like is acting more as a gallery at this point. Like at the beginning, they were a little different, but yeah. So just keeping in mind, we can discuss like anything that's inside, but like this like permissionless, invitation only, and specialized like should really be in your head when you look at like a new or like an existing marketplace. And then you have like sort of like galleries as well, right? Like, I mean, there's like older business model that like just representing artists has been like used, but way less than like in the traditional art field. And there's, I mean, the main reason for that, like, and galleries being like wary about like the blockchain and crypto art in general, is that like if you go back to the beginning of the blockchain and the ethos that it was bringing was really encouraging like peer-to-peer transactions, more direct link between the artist and their collector, bringing the financial like value of all the transactions back to the artist, pretty much killing the intermediary, right? So when you're the intermediary, like the gallery, you're kind of like, wait a second, you're trying to kill us? Okay, let's wait for like 1 second and see if I really want to get into crypto art, right? And if you look at like BitArt and Postmaster BC, like their and Transfer even galleries, they were digital art galleries like way before blockchain, and so they just added like and they're pretty much using NFTs as like a transactional vehicle for artists. They've already like we're already doing digital art before. And there are a few like Breezy galleries. Eleonora was also curator for Mint Gold Dust, this platform, and a curator for Whale Shark. Like she has this like gallery, but it's where I think in this field, like it's like they're still looking for adapting a business model that, like, let's face it, like a gallery business model has never been like very sustainable, right? Like it's very it's not like the best business model in the world. So they're still looking at like how to find the right place for them in that market, because at the end of the day, like artists still need direction and maybe help also. Like sometimes you guys don't like to write about your work or like be your marketing officer and your technology officer and your community officer, etc. But I don't think this is like, if you just like take the galleries, like just tell them to sell NFTs, like this should not be what's happening, like, right? Like, I mean, there's so much more that they could do to support artists, especially in the blockchain, in different ways. So it's kind of like this, like, not that many yet. Actually, Alterhen now, which was founded by two artists, like Diane Drube and Patrick Tressé, has a new interesting model where it's more it's artists actually onboarding new artists and helping them get onto the blockchain, and talking about their work, and pretty much it's artists mentoring new artists, and this is how Alterhen manages their exhibition, which is they're definitely experimenting at this point. And then of course you have the art players who are of course getting involved in NFTs, and you have to remember that a lot of that is very, very like opportunistic. I think this is like where yes, everything started with the Christie's sale. I mean, everything started in the mainstream arena because Christie's like sold Beeples and Sotheby's sold CryptoPunk. So people were like, "Oh, it's art! Like they're selling it." Well, no. I mean, Sotheby's has been selling anything that high net worth individuals are interested in, from purses to jewelry to furniture, and now punks. You know, it was not because it's sold there that it's art, but still, it has like this like um, it feels like a validation from like the traditional art market, but it's still like very few like real collectors like who are going from a traditional art collection to collecting NFTs. I mean, this is what we're doing with Harry at LAL Art. It's literally holding hands of collectors, like telling them about the technology, the platforms, like organizing calls with the artists, like for them to like discover this new art. But it's one collector at a time, right? I mean, it's maybe a handful at a time. So it is gonna take time. And but auction houses got in early because they're like, ooh, yum 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 yum, money. So let's try to sell that thing. And but if you look at like, I'll send you. I did this last summer. I did this talk at ECC Paris on really studying every sale that had been done between at an auction house of NFTs, and everything that they did wrong, and everything that was not recorded on the blockchain, and it was hilarious. Like, I mean, it's just wrong, like the way they've been doing that. And you know, Sotheby's metaverse, I mean, in like many brackets, it's not a metaverse, it's a website where they sell NFTs. And the last few sales in 2021 were so bad that they actually canceled the last sales that they had planned at the end of the year. Same thing on like ArtNet had like a sale that did very badly. They had pretty much all the, like half of the lots had like wrong information, etc. So it is going to take time, especially because they don't know at all what they're doing. And you know, like, yes, they're learning. Again, they're learning while doing, which would be okay if it was not like so much money involved. Galleries, as I said, like they're getting to it, and now that you know, like they've seen like mega galleries like Pace get into NFTs and auction houses, and you know, like now the medium to like small galleries are like now being like, like, okay, we're kind of missing out on something. So like they're looking at it, but they're, I think, waiting to see, they're waiting to get like more like white label ways for them to sell works on their platforms. Like only the very technologically and advanced and forward thinking ones are currently making an effort of like doing it themselves. But something that is interesting is the fact that museums actually like have been very like probably not like the one who've done things with NFTs. I mean, yes, like the British Museum has done this thing with La Collection, which don't get me started. Like I think this is just flat out wrong what they've done. But they're looking at like what it could mean, like not only to acquire NFTs, but how they could use like Web3 for community engagement, etc. And something we're doing, actually, I'll send you the link, like with Diane from Alter Hen. We're hosting discussions every Wednesday with mostly targeting like museum and cultural institution professionals who can, with like a weekly theme to discuss like to discuss first, like for them to be able to ask questions and discuss like different subjects like they might have heard about, or they just to know a bit more about it before rushing and like doing something that they would regret afterwards. But still very. I mean, and to just give you one example, like I talked back in February before the Beeple sale to the head of February 2021 to the head of the photography department at MoMA, who was really interested. And it just like that's how it works. You have like a few champions that are gonna move things forward and move the needle. But again, like there's I think don't overestimate like the influence of like the art market, because there's it's a very, very small market, right? Like, and I think this is like right now, I think we're getting around the fact that the crypto space, like crypto, not crypto art, but like the crypto and like the cryptocurrency space has more collectors and money than the entire art market. And I think this is something that, we should not underestimate and like jump the gun and be like, I want to be represented by a gallery or an auction house. I mean, this is like great still, but it's putting things back in perspective. Like it's it's going to take time, and it's a slow moving side of the market. As I said, there were like, I mean, there's probably many more, but it was like just a few events that like was done in collaboration between an art player and a Web3 player. Like, like, I mean, the Beeple sale, like the work was minted on Maker's Place back in March. Sotheby's did the pack sale on Nifty Gateway. Like there were, like many other like where they joined forces, which is quite like a smart way to do things. Like your Bonhams doesn't know how to like mint the works and do the transaction. Well, boom, like they partner with Super Rare, like, and they can. I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting experiments. Like there are definitely pros and cons in each of them, but this is definitely worth looking into. And actually Linda Dunya, who was part of the which you might know from like I think she was the first residency cohort, like had a work sold on Artsy like a week ago, and then curated a sale on like Super Rare with other like artists of African descent. So this is like, like it's not that far ahead. We're talking crypto. Like in 6 months, like that is an entire artist career in the traditional art market. All right, moving on, because I think I just want to leave some. I think we have already a few questions, and then I want to leave space for the discussion. Right, metaverse, same thing. I mean, when you're like looking at like a marketplace, like if you want to build something in the metaverse, it's kind of the same sort of like thoughts you need to think about, but that's again another entire discussion. And then you have also the right causes, right? Like I think this is like something that a lot of artists have been really like trying to push different causes, and there are different ways to do it. I mean, this like Women Rise like profile picture project was actually like started with an idea of like, how do we get like 10,000 women onboarded onto the blockchain, and like just knowing about like what they can do with it. And then based on that cause, they created the project. Her Story DAO, that's one of the artist communities that like was created around creators, like female artists of colors, and just used kind of like the power of the community and the DAO to just push their effort forward. And then Doing Good, if you haven't like heard about that like platform, it's kind of a fun way where like they're really putting together artists with like projects and like charity projects, but also like where artists get commissioned to create works for a specific cause, etc., etc. So if any of you is in Denver, I think the team is right now at East Denver, but it's online, so you don't need to go to Denver. All right, so really quickly before we go, I think this is like where you're gonna have more presentations about it, like, but like, you know, like how do you so now we talked about like kind of the supply, where does your art fit, where you're gonna kind of get like that where you're gonna like have the supply and the demand meet, like what platform, and then how do you attract that demand is now like the other side of the coin, because it's great to create art, but it's also even better to live from it and have a, you know, whole community of collector like behind you. So again, I think this is like a lot of different things you can do. I think this is like things that we've been talking with artists, like when we do artist workshops, like to help them get started with LAL, is things that we've been asked. So I just put that in here for you to kind of think about. You know, between the pseudonym and the real name sounds like a silly question, but like some artists have been really making a point of like separating their practice before NFTs, or if they were a photographer or a sculptor, like really putting a line to protect like what they had been doing outside of the blockchain and the digital realm, versus what they're building, like kind of starting fresh with like their crypto art career. Also to not confuse their current collector, probably also to protect their current market if like their crypto practice doesn't go like well, or if everything collapses in like 2 months. I think at this point we're pretty sure it's not gonna just all disappear. But that's a good question to ask, because it's better to ask it early on before building everything under one name and then deciding, well, let's just wait a second, I'm just gonna like do it again under a pseudonym. Crypto identity, I mean, I think you're all doing like this second one, like getting into the crypto community, and like that residency is like the best thing to do so. I think you're very lucky, like in a sense, to really have access to that, like in kind of a boot camp setting. I think we should rename it. Like I should ask Nicole, Mathilde, what do you think about vertical crypto art boot camp? I think that would be a good
sounds cool, actually.
right? I think that's it. Yeah. Like, I think it's like like Barry's boot camps. Oh, maybe we should call it Nicole's boot camp. What? She's gonna hate it. But probably. But yeah, so really like, okay, so then like everything else on that side, like it's kind of an obvious things, but one that I still do want to highlight is think about how you bring value to people, because I think this is like very very important, and probably why photography has been slower at like finding its own space in crypto like than other things, because it's something that you really need to think about, especially if you're using like artworks or things that you've done before, or like that you're like if you're a painter and like you're using like your paintings as a base, like who has the painting, who owns it, like this type of question, where like why, even like if you're just answering like why would anybody collect this, like sounds like a horribly like therapeutic like, or like things that like no a therapist would ask you, but it's still very very true. Value does matter, and I think we passed like the point where you could put anything up and like people would be like, oh great, it's an NFT, I'm gonna get it. I think this is yeah, same thing. So pricing strategy, I think this is kind of where it might be early in the residency to think about it, but I think it's I would say like test and iterate is your best friend, because it's and starting low. I mean, I think this is like where there's stories about like even like very established artists who I think it was Simon Denny at one point. Like one NFT he did was on Foundation, and he was like, oh, I'm just gonna use this video I made like 2 years ago, and I just put it as an NFT, and at 250 ETH, and like, guess what? Like nobody got it because nobody cared. Like it had no value. It was an existing artwork. Yes, he has a name, but what why? So I think this is like humble like starts is always better, and like experimenting with like various price points. I think this is like where you still have like the early graph. Go back to that like graph that I showed you earlier, which is like the price versus like and the quantity is still like very much a two axis you can play with. And if you look at like how Nifty Gateway even like kind of formatted or like structured their drops is always like was always something in the vein of like you have one unique work that goes for auction, that goes for like a higher price point, and then like an edition that is like allowing people who can't afford like the main like big like one-on-one unique work to have access to the works. Because I think this is like a big like common mistake where like it's like, okay, like I'm only gonna have a unique work at like 5 ETH, and if you do that, well, first you're like assuming a lot of different things about like your collecting base that you are going to get wrong. But it's also like missing the opportunity to have maybe many more collectors at a lower price point who are gonna follow you, and then they will become like collectors where later on where they can afford unique works, but at the present time kind of not missing out on like people who are interested in your work is very important. So yeah, and one concept, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of like auction and selling strategies and types. One thing that is not an official thing, but it's like the going back from like the drops where like if it hasn't sold in 5 seconds, it's a failure, to dripping like with like maybe you do like one thing a week and like you build up expectations, like this is like every Saturday there's something coming up, or like once a month, like, or like this type of thing. I think this is I kind of like the idea of the drip a lot, like because also it fits way more it is way more in line with the time frame and the time it takes to talk about the art, to build up like everything that you guys are doing. And I think, remember, it's like it's some of the best curated shows of last year well might still not be sold out. And if someone tells you it hasn't sold out, like it's probably worth nothing, well, they have the wrong mindset. I think this is like very much like this like speculative financial approach of profile picture projects that if you're not doing a profile picture project, should really run away from. And yeah, I think this is like kind of more of a after the sale. Like, don't forget that like especially in crypto, the great thing with technology and the Web3 community is that there is like this idea of community, and that it doesn't mean that you need to have like 50,000 people following your Discord, your artist Discord, or like be on your mailing list or so on. Like you can start with literally your mom, your best friend, and 2 artists from the residency to get like your collector base going. Like I think this is something that like we tend to overthink and kind of delay, like saying, I'll worry about that community when I actually have a big one. Well, it's probably going to be too late if you wait. These people are not going to stay if you don't engage them from the start. So I put a few names to look at, but I'm sure there's many more. Like Kevin Bosch was pretty good with like the airdrops and the managing expectations and getting people early on like his early projects, because he said like, you know, like, yes, like early collectors will be rewarded with X, Y, and Z. Justin Aversano was like, I mean, he's very marketing driven, but he was one of the first ones to really engage a lot with collectors on Discord. And that was great. Osinachi, like I put him for like more like the social token as well, that you can look into as well. And then, yeah, one thing is really, you know, NFT is like great. It's a great like delivery system. Like it makes it way less. Someone said it's like it makes it less awkward to purchase collect digital art, and I really think this is very true. But it also doesn't cure cancer or solve all the problems, and especially on the IP side, like copyrights, etc., etc. This is something that NFTs don't even, or smart contract just don't address at all. And so that's pretty much means that like the rules haven't changed, but it's also like educating people into what they're getting, like really adding like price and like terms and conditions, like making sure that like people know that like they are not getting the copyright to your artwork. I mean, this is something that is obvious in the art market, where you're just like, yeah, I mean, a collector of you know, like an Andy Warhol owns the object, but it doesn't own the rights to make mugs with like the Warhol print or T-shirts and sell them, which is very different from the entertainment industry, where all the licenses and like, and for example, the Bored Apes Yacht Club, like when you own one ape, you can literally do anything with it, and this is what happens. This is great, right? Like I mean, the Jenkins the Valley like cartoon was developed because that license was pretty much non-restrictive. The owner has the copyright, can do whatever they want. But then they discovered that like the CryptoPunks have a they like Lava Labs, like they retained the copyright, and they were like, what the fuck, like this is wrong, like we're like, you don't own anything if you don't own the copyright. Well, you know, and then they discovered that this is how it works in the art market, and so it's something that you know, you need to be very careful about. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just really do want to give ourselves like 15 minutes. I do have a call at half hour, so I do have a hard stop. But yeah, kind of want to hear from you. Big white artist, sorry. But it's kind of my my point on that is that like if we just take the art market and just like reproduce what's wrong with it and put it on the blockchain, like what the heck are we doing here? Just really uninteresting to the you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Anna, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, Fanny. Thank you so much for that. That was really, really interesting. So I have a question, I guess. As a collector, you know, if we're not feeling like we're ready for a Discord or something like that, but as a collector, are you taken aback, or do you appreciate it when an artist whom you've collected sends you sort of little messages updating you on their progress, like if they had a great sale or they're part of an exhibition, things like that via DM, just saying, hey, just wanted to keep you updated on how things are going on my end. How do you receive that?
So I think, I mean, there's it's great because that's kind of where like they collected your work once, so this is a fair assumption to say like they will be interested in like hearing what's happening. But there is a fine line to walk versus like being like kind of harassing the collector, being like, I had that case once, and it was like somehow like one of the artists I put in contact with the collector, like obviously had their contact. I'm not hiding, or like the collectors from the artists they collect, but then was kind of like literally texting him, being like, "Hey, this is up for bidding. Like, hey, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes," and you're like, and the collector was like, I can't handle it. Like it was just like I don't know how to politely say like no, like this is kind of an invasion of privacy. So I think this is where maybe a way to know how to walk this line, because you do want to keep them informed, right? And you do want to like you do want to get their feedback, and you don't have to just have it like formalized, as I said, like as a Discord, because some collectors don't like Discord neither. But maybe it's to ask them, like to ask them after they collected your work, saying like, hey, like would love to keep you informed about what I'm doing. Like, what would be the best way? Some people are like, they love text messages. Like, some people just love, like, especially now, there are like million different ways you can reach someone. So, so really, like, keeping track of like of what they want, and then like checking in once in a while. Like being like, but maybe making not a like making a plan, kind of saying like, okay, like like saying like I'll put a reminder like every month to just be like, oh, like I'm gonna check in once a month. So you also have this sort of like expectation, like from the collector, who's like, oh, I'm gonna hear from her like once a month, and then reviewing, maybe like having a call with them, having a coffee if you're in the same city, like really I mean, at that point, it's very much like one-on-one decisions, and like and kind of how do you call that? Like really, yeah, like custom treatment. And let's face it, like it's like collectors, they're kind of addicts. Like they like hate missing something, and they're like kind of obsessed with like always being the first to know and having access to exclusive things, or like feeling special. So whatever that means for you, I think it's like it's a way to look at it.
Thank you, Fanny. That was very, very helpful. Thank you.
Hey, Fanny.
Hi.
Thank you so much. This has been super insightful and very interesting. I was wondering, especially, I'm a generative artist, and I'm kind of professionally kind of a native NFT artist, never really dabbled in the traditional art market before. And I was wondering, is that something that we should even kind of aspire? Like I kind of like my collectors in the crypto world, and I'm doing well for myself. Is it something
No, I
we
mean,
change?
I think, I mean, it's as I said, like, I mean, there's like literally no like rule, like, I mean, especially because it's not like it's like the giant market, or like like is there, and we're like the tiny people with no resources and nobody. I think this is maybe it's also being mindful of like if you're going after one or another, like how do you communicate about your work? Because things like what I said about like utility and airdrop and social token, like if you're like trying to build more like of a practice like for, and I don't even know if I want to say like this is for traditional collectors or not, like it's kind of a distinction that should really disappear, right? Like and really maybe a way to look at it is like you're building like your collector base for people who are interested in generative art, and then looking at like what these people are, like if they're like traditional collectors, like not traditional collectors, and which platforms are like actually doing well for like presenting generative art, like if they're like crypto or more like like artsy or whatever, then it doesn't really matter. It's not like a very like black and white answer. I'm sorry.
I see a question on the chat. I don't know if you can see it, Fanny.
I haven't checked, but go for it.
No, because yeah, it's the Chabeli Faro question.
Yes, let me check. I would like to know where can I access more information about how to cherish collector-based social token drops. Yes, that's a very good question. Well, I think at this point, there's nothing like written about it. I think I would look at the examples of like other artists and what they do. So kind of like looking at like like the examples that I gave, like Kevin Abosch had like so he did all the minting of his work on OpenSea, but was doing the marketing and storytelling on his own website with announcements on Telegram, on the Telegram channel, where he would just push like push information and then airdrop, like you'll see in that Telegram, like I can try to link it in the chat, but then like he was pretty much doing everything in that chat, like just to get people to know what he was doing, and I think looking at other examples, absolutely the best way for now to look at that. Let me try to find it, Kevin. Here. Here we go. Hopefully you can see the history of the I think I posted it in the wrong one. Sorry, once again. Oh well, you were faster, Mathilde. Yes. But yeah, same thing, like Justin Aversano, is using was using, I don't even know what he's doing now, probably not that anymore, but like artists using Discord. So for example, there's this other guy like Pascal Boyard, with this French muralist, like P-Boy Art, and the way he's been using, like he's been pretty much calling, check like what he's that's his website, but he's also like very active on Twitter, obviously, but one thing that he did, it was a NFT project called the Sistine Chapel Underground, and everybody who owns a piece of like an NFT from that work is called like the one of the keepers of the chapel, and kind of build this like community, which is pretty much like big fans of Pascal. Like we were all like for us is kind of like a god, but it doesn't call it like god, like like fan club of Pascal Boyard. Like he calls it like keepers of the chapel, because people really related and kind of identify as a group around this artwork, which I think was very, very powerful move. And to be honest, I don't even know if it's like planned move, but it's like things that, you know, people really reacted well to because they're genuine, you know, and people do genuinely care about that. In terms of like Discord and like, you know, we're all like in Web3, and I keep talking about about like Twitter and Discord, like Web2 tools. There is a quite interesting. I haven't tested it much, but there's this tool called Speakeasy, and Speakeasy is pretty much here. It's a tool where you actually like, it's a Web3 based like tool first, and it's like if you can create like private rooms based on what people own in their wallet. So let's say like Anna Maria, like you want to build a room where only collectors of your works have access to. You can pretty much do that. Or if you want to create a POAP, like saying like people who came to my exhibition have access to a room, you can. And you can kind of like, that's another way. Like, I mean, it's a very Web3 way, but it's pretty much like the equivalent of a Discord like server that is like only accessible for collectors. I mean, other artists have used unlockable content. So this Pascal guy is actually giving you the link to his Discord server as unlockable content in his NFTs. It's kind of like a hidden, you know, like hidden thing. Is it only on ETH yet, Speakeasy? It's not supposed to, but maybe they haven't like released the yeah, maybe it's only on ETH yet. I'll ask them what they're planning. Sorry. Oh, and I'm gonna link the presentation in the chat as well. And yeah, any other question? We have 1 minute left.
Hi, Fanny. I have just more of a comment, and I know you have to go quite soon. I just wanted to just reiterate how much I appreciate you saying how a lot of these platforms that claim to be curated are really just for profit. And as artists, I feel like sometimes we like to treat them as like these gods, when in actuality, they're just like selectively choosing artists who they believe will provide them with more income. And I think we also shouldn't underestimate just a link tree to link our works to our Twitter, in that I think that if we have enough traction and like a following and start to focus on building a following on our Twitter and our Discord, that the link to whatever marketplace that we're using to put our work up on, I sometimes I don't think it matters what marketplace we choose, right? Like I feel like that link, just linking to just one central place, a web page, etc., where we can view all our NFTs is so important. So I think that I'm just basically saying I think it's really important and we shouldn't underestimate that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, like the actual like way it should be is that like every artist like had their own smart contract, and now you have like things like manifold.xyz to help artists own their terms, and then yeah, you should be able to then like showcase it in any platform that you want or don't want. I mean, it's really not about the platform. Again, like these platforms, remember, would be nothing without artists. Nothing. Like it's literally like where like there is no like the only reason I will tell you like why I think there's still emphasis on the platforms is that like this is the only thing that like VCs and you know investors and like understand and put all their money in, and that's why they have like or the power to do things the way they were. But it's not like and they're not gonna help you like per se like achieve anything, you know. So but you know, it's a good start. Like, should it be the end game? Absolutely not. So yeah, hopefully that that helps. I mean, there's so much again on the that you know, it's really like also try a few things, like try and like and iterate. Like I think this is like so many artists have said like I don't know any, like, let me rephrase, I don't know any artist, like even very established now, who would not say if I had known something else, or if I had like I would have done my first like release like differently. Yes, they would, but also like it's like if they waited, they would not have done anything, right? So it's like do something. It's okay to like do things like the wrong way, and like and then you know, learn from the mistakes. But yeah, that's so I mean, I and if you have more questions, I'd be happy to answer them in this channel. Yeah, you know where to find me. I mean, I'm not cool enough. I don't have a pseudonym, so so that's it.
Thank you so much, Fanny, for your time. And this session was great. I really enjoyed it too, even if I'm not a creator. So thank you so much. And yeah, if you guys don't have any question, let's say goodbye to Fanny. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Good luck for your boot camp with brackets. Unofficial term. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.